You yourself are on a growth journey. To get to the next level where you want to be, you need someone else that can actually elevate you. I always say to people that having a single mentor is never enough. And small startup organizations need to be resilient and also need to adapt and change. Everything we do in the service of others. And respect is not a birthright. Respect is earned. There is always an opportunity for more. Even the most perfect rose is never perfect.
How do you know when you've outgrown a mentor and you need to find the next one?
If you're a good mentor.
Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the Mindful Creative Podcast. You have no idea how much it means to me that you are here listening to or watching this podcast on whatever platform you're on. Please, please, please do not forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment on whatever platform you're on as well. It massively helps me improve the reach of this podcast. And for now, enjoy the show and stay visionary. Welcome back to the Mindful Creator Podcast, guys. My guest today is Vikas Arora. Vikas is a mindset coach, a Neurofit coach, and a business mentor. And he's helped over 30 businesses in collaboration with Microsoft to grow, scale, and essentially to help them succeed. Yeah. Right, Vikas, thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, just reading out that section of what you've done is incredibly impressive. Being a mindset coach is like one whole thing in itself. Neurofit, I'm not even sure. I've done a little bit of research into it, but I still don't know if I quite get it. So I'm looking forward to getting into that later on in the episode as well. And you're a business coach as well, which is, I mean, it's a lot. So before we even get started, what's the one thing that you think people need to know about you that makes you who you are today, that allows you to do such a wide range of activities as a career?
I think through my career, I've been in the tech and IT industry for over 27 years. And one of the things that I've learned so much is that people buy from people, but also people learn from people. And I made up my mind a long time ago that I want to do the latter, which is help as many people as I can. I can't do what Mo Ganada wants to do, like help 1 billion, but if I can help one person, just make a difference for one person, and then just rinse, repeat. That's literally what I want to do.
That is amazing. So where did the passion of trying to help that one person come from in the first place?
So I've spent over 18 years at Microsoft prior to doing what I'm doing now. And during that time, I saw a lot of young talent coming and going. And I put my hand up to say, like, I'd love to mentor and coach these people. I've got something in me, having been in the industry for so long. So I became a mentor for our new entrants, new recruits in the graduate program and interns. And that's really where it started from. It kind of was, if I can help them do something, then, make a difference in this big wide world. Because, you come from university, you go into a big organization like Microsoft, 180,000 people, and it can be daunting. And you are a small fish in a very big ocean. And how can you help them swim and navigate the lanes? And literally, if I can just help them navigate through 2 or 3 doors to make their life easy, that's what I wanted to do. And that's kind of how it started. But all on the flip side of that, I blame my wife, who kept saying to me, who's been in HR for over 30 years, said to me, you should train, you should coach, you've got it in you. That's what you should do. You're in the wrong career, not selling. You should do this.
Interesting.
So actually, it's her. She planted the seed, and that's where it kind of really started from. So,
that's it. That's the actual true answer.
That's the true answer, yeah.
Your wife's just, your wife's the puppet master, and you're just doing whatever's happening in the background.
100%,
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about mentors for a second, okay? Because I think mentors, personal development coaches, it's become a bit of a popular thing to do, because you can see so many people who are mindset coaches, personal development coaches, and mentors. What, in your opinion, makes a mentor worth listening to? How do you differentiate between a mentor that is really there, that's going to help you grow, succeed, and take you from point A to point B, versus a mentor who's doing it because they thought that was an easy life path, versus doing their corporate job and not quite sure how to actually help or guide anyone?
See, I think finding the right mentor is a personal thing. It's not it's not like you can just pick up, dare I say, the Yellow Pages doesn't exist anymore, but you can't pick up the phone directory and say, that's my mentor. You have a connection with someone, and that connection could be that you see them where you want to be, or there is something in them that clicks in you personally that you think, wow, I really want to learn from that person. I really want to connect with that person. I really want to see the world through their eyes, and understand, how do they go about doing that? Because I want to emulate that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about how much money they have or the car they drive. That's what I want to do. It's more about the connection that you get. I've had a number of coaches and a number of mentors in my life, and I can literally count 3-4 people that I've connected with, either physically, i.e. face to face, or even virtually. I've had that connection where I felt I want to learn from this person. And I think it's okay to go one person, and then you grow not tired of that person, but you've gone as far as you can, and then move to someone else, because you yourself are on a growth journey, and it comes to a point that that person can only take you so far. But then to get to the next level where you want to be, you need someone else that can actually elevate you. And so I always say to people that having a single mentor is never enough. You need multiple mentors during the course of your life and during the course of your journey. It could be a relationship mentor. It could be a business mentor. It could be, a career mentor, fulfilling different aspects of your life through your journey. So it really is about getting that connection with someone, and feeling comfortable that the guidance and advice that they're going to give you is something that you are going to embody and implement and take on board.
I love that you touched on the fact that it's not just about having one mentor. And I think this is where people can really benefit with recognizing that actually one person isn't going to be able to take you from point A to point B in every area of your life, because you got to look at what the thing is that they've achieved that resonates for you, and then see if that's the thing that you want to achieve, to ask them to help you with that. So for example, if someone's got a goal in business and they're doing 6 figures a year, but they want to get to 7, then go and work with someone who's done 7 figures.
100%.
At the same time, if that person's relationship is non-existent or struggling, then don't get relationship advice from the same person. Go and find someone else who emulates the relationship that you would like.
Yeah.
And then go and figure out what they did to create that relationship. And it's about finding essentially the nuggets of wisdom that you're looking for to create your ideal life from multiple different sources.
100%. And I think you've got to, and that takes time. And so you've got to be ready to invest that time, not only in yourself, but in the mentor as well, because you've got to remember it's a two-way thing. It's never one way. They're getting as much from you as you're getting from them. So you in some way have to give them value as well, and that could be in terms of your guidance, in terms of they're part of their life that they will learn from, or just being grateful for the guidance they're giving you, and showing them that actually, look, this is what you said, I've implemented, and look at the result, and that is so gratifying for some.
How do you know when you've outgrown a mentor and you need to find the next one?
It's a difficult one to actually sort of answer, because it depends on individual to individual.
Mm-hmm.
But in essence, it's, you get a feeling where you've got so far, and, you need to respectfully and lovingly now let go. You get that feeling that there's, we're kind of in the same place. We're stagnant. Yeah.
And so how do you become aware of that feeling? Like, what is something that someone listening to this right now who maybe has a mentor and might be experiencing that stagnation, but isn't aware that actually it's their mentor that they've outgrown, which is why they're still stuck in the same place? Like, how do they pinpoint that need of change?
There's a couple of things. Number one is, as I mentioned, you're not moving any further than where you were before, be it 2 weeks, 3 weeks, even a month. And the conversations are repetitive. they're now becoming more sort of friendly conversations. They're becoming comfortable conversations. The mentor relationship is really about, the way I say it is that, there's a therapist, coach, and a mentor. And, your mentor is the one that kind of almost like puts your arm around your shoulder to help you and guide you and make sure that you go through. Your therapist is the one that actually has their arms on your shoulder behind you, making sure that you don't fall, make sure your coach is the one that's in front of you.
Okay.
And so, when that arm around the shoulder gets too comfortable, that's when you know that, the time this mentor-mentee relationship is more like we're buddies now. And you do, and you know what? You do formulate that relationship because you do get comfortable with them. And so I think that and it differs person to person. It always will. And if you're a good mentor, you yourself know when to call it a day.
Okay, that's interesting.
So it's almost like the Yoda Luke Skywalker scenario where you've got the Force now.
Go on your own way, go on your own path.
Yeah.
I love what you shared there because I've actually never heard that before. So, but it's actually taking me back to points in my life where I'm like, okay, the conversations are the same. Nothing's actually changing.
Yeah.
And we're just doing more talking than actually implementation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You stop making notes. You're starting having more of a laugh.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's giving me some huge awarenesses right now. So, okay. Let's flip that script a little bit and look at it from the perspective of a mentor, because you are a mentor as well, right? So how do you juggle the idea of letting the mentee go to do their own thing? Because from a business standpoint, that's not as easy because that's, in a way, a loss of revenue.
Yeah, it is. But then you got to remember there are 8+ odd billion people in the planet, and hopefully your services can be used elsewhere. It's a tough one because one of the things that I've learned as a mentor is to really control the emotive connection, the emotional connection, and that's where it becomes harder. Where you form an emotional bond. It could be that you love the business they do, that really attracts you, you want to be a part of it, or that the leader in the organization that you're mentoring, they inspire you. You want to see more out of them. It's a tough one to do, but when you know that they're actually now able to kind of not necessarily stand on their 2 feet, but they can fly the nest now. They have everything they want from you. The best thing to do is again, from your point, is step away. But as a mentor, and what I do is now and then is I check in. Everything okay? All good? And everything's cool. Everything's cool. And that's when when you slowly start to step away, but you're constantly checking in, making sure they're okay, that as a mentor that, my work here is done.
Okay. Let's talk about startups. That is your area of expertise, and that is where your current focus is as well.
Yeah.
Now, just give, for the people listening, what kind of startups do you typically work with?
So I work with tech startups. They're pre-unicorn, pre-seed. For
everyone listening, what does pre-unicorn and pre-seed mean?
Pre-unicorn is they haven't gone out for IPO like funding. Pre-seed is they haven't gone round on a funding round like you have seed A, seed B, seed C. They have some funding, but they haven't formally gone out to a venture capitalist and actually requested, can you fund my business for my next level of growth? So it's those type of startups. Yeah. Yeah. And the organization that I'm consulting through has us working with Microsoft for Startups, which is a great program for any tech startup that's looking to embody Microsoft technology, cloud, AI. They're leading the industry in AI, and I'm working with a pool of retail, AI, and health and life science startups. Phenomenal founders. They inspire me every day. Every day I speak to them, I'm inspired. And you get a good buzz. You get a good energy from them.
It's cool to be at the forefront of like the next potential company that's going to be like the next Apple or like the next Microsoft or just
It
another one of
is.
those absolute giants.
It is. And what's interesting is watching them, because you learn so much from every founder in terms of the way they run the business, the way they run themselves. I'm working with organizations with sort of 100 plus employees, to one which we only see one person, but there's 30 odd developers sitting in the background that you never see. They're in the bunker somewhere, you never see them. But actually the CEO and the founder is the head of HR, head of sales, head of marketing, everything. And we all think, oh, is that the only person in the company? But it's interesting. It's interesting seeing organizations use the technology that's made available today, and helping them grow.
I love what you said, that, looking at those founders, looking at the people heading up those potential incredible companies to come, inspires you. And as a mentor to them as well, what would you say has been some of the biggest takeaways or learnings that you've taken from the founders of the startups that you're mentoring?
There's quite a few, actually. I think one of the things that I've taken away and learned from them is passion. They exude like infinite amounts of passion in what they do and how they do it. Resilience, which I think is a big thing for any tech founder. The changing scope of the industry right now. Organizations, small startup organizations, need to be resilient, and also need to adapt and change literally at this, the flip of a coin. And seeing that they can do that and react to the changes in tech and think, there's an opportunity. Let me do something more. Let me embody that as well. The openness to learn. One of the things I've seen in them is that, there's a massive openness to learn. They're just like sponges. They want to learn more. They want to know how this next new wave of technology is going to impact my business and what I'm doing. But not only that, how will it help me grow? How it will help me identify new opportunities? And the energy. It's just so infectious. Seeing their energy as founders it's untapped. I literally have to ask one of the founders, what are you drinking? What do you want? It's not Red Bull. It's not Monster. What are you drinking? I want your Kool-Aid.
Interesting. I've just made a note of those bits that you shared, right? So passion, resilience, their ability to react to changing elements in the market, etc.
Yeah.
Openness to learn, and their energy.
Yeah.
If someone's sitting at home right now who's sitting on an idea, concept phase of something that they would love to do, what would you say to them that could help them get those 5 elements to become potentially one of those founders that you or someone else mentors in the capacity that you do now?
So number one is, if you've got an idea, and no idea is stupid. No idea has its faults and it has faults. Test the market, test your understanding, do your research, figure out, is there a need? Is there, if I can make, and this is a quote from one of the founders I'm working with, if I can make £1 from that idea, I can continue putting the energy and passion into that to add more zeros behind that pound in the future.
Oh, I love that. That is excellent. Yeah.
So if you've got an idea and you can help one organization or even another startup embody your idea, your technology, become, take you from an idea to development to building a minimum viable product. And if you can make money from that, then you can multiply that. As long as you continue to believe in what you're doing. There's a great quote from Wallace Waddell in The Science of Getting Rich, which is, everything we do in the service of others.
Interesting.
Doesn't matter what you do it in this. Even this podcast is in the service of others. It's the message that the likes of me and your other guests give is to actually inspire other people and hopefully educate and inform.
Absolutely. We were actually talking about this before we came, because Chris was asking me, what's the point of the podcast? Like, why are you doing it? And the honest answer to that question is, I've been lost for such a long part of my life. And having conversations with people like yourself and other people that I've interviewed, whether it's been on the podcast or off the podcast, has actually helped me forge and find a path that is something that I enjoy doing
100%.
now. And if it's the conversations that helped me find clarity on my path, then hopefully the intention is that these conversations change the path for someone else that's listening who
100%.
might be feeling a little bit lost,
Yeah.
might be feeling, maybe they've got some momentum, maybe they're not even lost at all,
Yeah.
but they're still not getting the momentum that they want in their life.
Yeah.
And this is the thing that they needed to light a fire up their ass, and
100%.
it just, changes the trajectory for them.
Yeah.
Then that's perfect. And, this conversation could inspire someone today that creates the next company that takes over SpaceX, or it's like the new Tesla.
It could be.
We might not ever even know about it, but so what?
Yeah.
It changed like the trajectory of
Yeah.
someone's life. It improved it. It made it better. Then that's incredible.
Yeah. And when I speak to so many of the founders, I ask them why. I ask everyone the question why they're doing this. And their whole idea, obviously, yes, they want to make money. Obviously, they want to be successful. They obviously see a niche and a gap in the market that they want to fulfill. But ultimately, it's a lot of it is about making either the industry that they're focusing on better, which has an impact on other people who
Mm-hmm.
work in the industry, the customers, suppliers, etc. But ultimately, just comes down to that. It's about making a difference. And it's amazing seeing the energy that they put behind it.
It's all in service to others
All in the service.
at some point.
100%.
Okay. We've spoken about the good side. What are some of the biggest mistakes you commonly see in founders trying to create immense growth in such a short period of time?
Interesting. I think a couple of things that I've seen is where some people sort of underestimate the value of the existing product they have and try to build more and more either above it or around it, not having capitalized on the value that minimum viable product can create. And so over-investing time, over-investing money, and diluting the original idea.
Do you have an example?
Fortunately, I can't give an example, but I can paint a picture.
Yeah, let's do that.
So, it could be, for argument's sake, you built a solution that provides value, say, to I'm trying to think now outside the box a little bit here. So you put me on the spot here, Dipesh. Thank you. Okay, let's just think of a car, right?
Okay.
You built an amazing electrical car,
Yep.
right? It's compact, it's ideal, ideal for a family with three young kids.
Mm-hmm.
You think I'm going to put some, the most boring thing in the car is seatbelts, right? I'm going to have these fancy seatbelts that come out of at the roof,
Okay.
right? What have you done? You've now just mitigated the idea of putting a sunroof in, because you need to actually have a way in which the apparatus for the seatbelt, the safety security of it, is actually on the most thinnest part of the car, which is the roof. It's not attached to the body of the car. So you've got the safety security issue.
Okay.
Right. You've then got to redesign the body and the chassis of the car so it caters for 5 seatbelts that come down from the roof. And you've minimized the complete design and gone against what people are normally used to. So putting the hand over the shoulder and just pulling it down.
Interesting.
And so that overinvestment now,
Yep.
you've completely taken away the idea of having a compact electrical car that's affordable for a family that has 3 young kids, that saves on energy and helps the planet.
So essentially trying to add what might be seen as perceived value in a way that doesn't actually provide any practical or perceived value to the end user.
And actually ends up costing you more.
Both in time,
As a
energy,
business.
money.
Yes.
Like the whole thing.
People. The whole thing.
Okay.
That's number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two is actually not putting enough value in the people that you have in your business. that are contributing towards your growth.
Let's define what that means.
That's in terms of their skill set. When you started as a startup, the value they brought to you at that point in time in your business. Their skills and qualities, the hard work that they've put in to helping you get to where you are now, and then undermining them as individuals contributing to the growth of your company. Because when you bring those people in, you've got to give them the value. You've got to give them the space to grow. You've got to give them the opportunity to really run with you with your business.
Mm-hmm.
But if all you're going to be is someone that says, yeah, that's great, thanks, I'm going to move on to the next person, then you're completely undermining their contribution towards your growth as a company. We know in every organization, people make it. You bring the right people in, they're going to help you grow. And, some of the startups that I work with, and you see the way they work as teams, you see the way everyone is locked, arms are locked towards the journey of the organization. And they all have their unique value, which is respected by the founder and appreciated by the founder. You can see why they're growing. You can see why they're doing well. There's a great a passage in Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill,
Mm-hmm.
where he talks about
Favorite book.
Carnegie, where he surrounded himself with people more intelligent than him because he just wanted to constantly learn. And he thought, he surrounded himself with leaders, being a leader himself.
Do you think, I would call that ability to surround yourself with those people, number one, and then actually allow them the space to grow with you.
Yeah.
I would call that a level of humility that an individual needs to have in order to essentially facilitate that growth for themselves, the company, and the people, right?
You've got to give them the space.
How can someone practically improve their level of humility to achieve the level of inspiration that founder can give to their team? Like, what's some of the practical things that they can do to create a team like that and keep them?
I think, as a founder, I think what you can do is really understand the true qualities of that individual, what they bring. It could be their experience, it could be their background, but even getting them to kind of contribute towards the ideas that bring their ideas to the table, and not mitigate their ideas, not completely wash it down like, oh, that's rubbish.
Mm-hmm.
Get them to kind of articulate why do you think that's going to be of value? How's it going to improve the way we do things right now? What resources would we need? Giving every individual the space. I mean, obviously, if you're a big company with 1,000 people, you can't give everyone that space. But when you're starting out as a founder, the people that you bring into your organization, the whole aim is for them to contribute towards your growth, to get to that level where you can, go to a VC or a venture capitalist and get that funding.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've got the right people behind you, then giving them that space to grow, giving them that space to actually evolve themselves is only going to help you more. But yes, there may come times where you think, you've got to lovingly part ways with someone because their ideas don't match with your passion. Their ideas don't meet with, the way you want to take the company and the journey that you perceive it to go. Because as a founder, you know where you want your company to go.
Mm-hmm.
You've both got to be bought into that vision. That's a big thing, right? If they're not bought into your vision, if they're not bought into the founder's vision and the journey, then it's going to be a difficult journey. You are going to be, walking backwards, blindfolded in treacle. So
that's quite a picture.
It's yeah. And, so that probably is the most important thing. First of all, is that you're both mutually bought into the journey as to where we're going. And then that allows you to create that space for them to grow, for them to bring their ideas to the table. I think that the space bit is very important.
I love that. What's your view? Because you work with a lot of startups, and since COVID, there's been a huge shift of being office based, and especially with small startups, it's all like, you're all in the trenches together. You're all in the office together. That was typically how people run. And since COVID, there's this whole new world of remote working, freedom of not needing to travel into work, not needing to do the 2-hour commute. What's your opinion on the productivity of a team in the startup phase of being remote versus being in office?
Depends on first the size of the company. Depends on the size of the startup. I mean, if you've got more people, like I've got a few startups where, the dev team are all based in the office, but the founder is dotting around the world or sometimes working from home because that's the nature of their business. Excuse me. I've got some organizations where they are all office based, because you're on this journey together, and you want everyone to be on that path together. My personal view about this kind of post-COVID era is that it's changed the dynamics of the way every organization works, whether it be, a startup, charity, hospitals to big organizations. And I think that you've got to give the people the space. If you are forcing people, my personal view, right? It's my personal view. If you do want people to come back to the office, you've got to give them the option to come back to the office. There are some that desperately want to do it. They will. They miss that, water cooler banter, having a coffee together, you're going out for lunch, getting to the deli and getting a sandwich together. There are people that thrive on that. But there are some people that actually do prefer working from home because there's no distraction and they are more productive. And it's getting that balance is difficult. But if you can give that flexibility to your workforce, that these are the days we want to be in the office because we've got a client meeting or we've got a big project.
Yep.
Outside of that, you want to work from home. Fair enough, work from home. And I've got startups where the founders work from home, but they all get together on a Tuesday and Thursday. I've got some which is 5 days a week they're in the office, but they're in the office 10 to 2.
That's interesting.
So, and then they work from home the rest of the hours. But I actually used to work with an agency many, many years ago based in Edinburgh, and they only used to open from 10 to 3.
Really?
And everyone in the agency was a parent, and everyone did school drop-offs. And at one point, sometimes the CEO will get in his people carrier and pick up everyone's kids and drop them himself to school.
Whoa.
But at 3:00 they'd shut.
That's a hell of a culture.
And it worked for them.
Yeah.
They got the right people in the business. They got mums returning from work. They got dads who were, whose partners worked a much, full-time job, but they could still work and still get their kids, pick them up from school. But that was the culture. And he was a single dad. The founder was a single dad.
Wow.
So he knew, because I'm doing it for me. I can't be the person that gets in at 10 and leaves at 3 and expect my team to be here at 8 in the morning and leave at 6. No, I have to give them the same respect they give me.
I love that. And it goes to something that I heard from Naval Ravikant. And he speaks about this a lot because he's in, I know because he's in the tech world, but he's big on tech startups and he's always looking for the unicorn type companies to invest in. And he has a whole angel investment or venture capital firm as well. And I love his definition, which is very similar to what you're saying here as well. If you're not willing to do something, then how can you expect your team to do it?
100%.
And it's such a key realization and awareness for people, because he turns around and he goes, well, I'm an entrepreneur. And I know that if I want people who think like me, I'm going to have to get entrepreneurs, and I can't have employees because they don't have the same mindset. Yeah. But then if they're an entrepreneur, well, then it's natural that they're going to want to create their own thing. So he actually pre-frames the interview with someone, or when he's doing the job offer, he goes, I know you're going to want to create your own thing. I'll ask you to help me in the journey of creating mine. And in that time period, if there comes a time where you go, I'm ready to jump ship and do my own thing, I'm going to support you to the best of my ability. And that's one aspect. The second side is, I don't like being at my desk at 9 o'clock in the morning. So how can I expect you to be at your desk at 9 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
I think that's such a refreshing way to look at life, because and to look at careers specifically, because there are people who do operate under those circumstances where they don't want to be there at 9 or 10, but they expect the team to log on at 8:30.
Yeah, yeah. So you've got to create that environment where, your team respect you, but you've got to have the respect for them. Respect is not a birthright. Respect is earned. And so I think that, if you respect your team and the skills you brought them in for a reason. Number one, you've brought them into your organization, into your little baby, to help you grow and nurture this for a reason. Their skill set, their expertise, their little black book in the industry. There's a reason why you brought them in. That's the respect you've given them, so they will give you that respect. And likewise, if you're going to have a culture of, let's all work from home on a Monday and Friday, and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday we'll come in the office, great, do the same. Because obviously if you're going to then be in the office from Monday at 8 a.m. in the morning and be there till 7 p.m., your team's going to think, hold on a minute, he's telling us, what's got something funny's going on here. Have the ability to actually give them the platform that they feel that they're actually contributing as much as you're contributing to the same level to the success of the company.
I love that. Let's talk a little bit about Neurofit. What is it, and why are you a coach in it?
So one of my old coaches, a lady called Lauren Trillin, she lives in the States now. She's an Australian. She started a new company based on based on our neurological fitness, our neurological strength. And the idea behind it is that it's great working on the mindset. It's great working here, but actually we carry a lot of stress in our nervous system.
That's true.
And it's if you're working here but you're not working on your nervous system, then what's the point on working on the mindset?
How does one begin to work on the nervous system?
Well, it's everything we do, that from things like journaling, things like meditating, breath work, good sleep, good diet. But it's understanding what neurofitness is about, understanding how it impacts your two vagal systems, your dorsal vagal and your ventral vagal. So it's your happy state and your sad state, or your burnout state at the bottom, and so what Neurofit is there are points in the day, there are points in during the working week that you are in a state where you're feeling burnout, or you're feeling stressed, or you're feeling overwhelmed. How can you step out of that? And what we underestimate is the small things that we can do can get us into a happy state. It can get us into a state of playfulness, can get us into a state of calm and stillness. And these could be something as simple as, just going out for a walk, getting fresh air, stepping into the garden on a summer's day in barefoot,
grounding yourself,
just grounding yourself with Mother Nature. But then doing structured and flow breathing, the box breathing technique, 4x4x4, and or even if you're feeling states of anger, because that has a massive impact on your nervous system. That leads to stress. We know what stress does in this modern age. It impacts our heart, it impacts our physiology in so many ways. So sacred rage, grabbing a cushion like this, and just for 3 minutes, just hitting it against a wall or hitting it against a chair. And just absolutely sort of belting out a big breath at the same time. And you're actually then, but what you're doing as a result of that, you're making so much more space for more oxygen to come into you. Oxygen is a great way. We need oxygen in our brain to get us to those levels. So that's what neurofitness is all about.
That's interesting. So it's less a physical fitness way of living, like personal training or going to the gym and stuff like that, but more, I guess it's very attached to your mindset anyway.
It is.
Which is understanding how your mindset and what you carry neurologically as stress, worry, anxiety, anger, upset, all those things, and then finding ways to dissipate that.
Yeah. I mean, you're literally, dare I say it, a bit woo woo, but you're actually giving space for happy hormones to come out and make you feel good about yourself. And you know, my way of dealing with it is going for a walk with my dog. I've created my own playlist that I listen to that makes me feel good. Breath work in the morning, and in moments where I do feel a little bit of rage, I do grab a cushion. I mean, you see the cushions in the living room now; they're like flat as hell. There's nothing left in them, but I found it helps. Really does. And you know, we've got an app as well as part of the certificate coaching as well. We provide an app which allows you to measure your neurological fitness, measure your HRV levels as well, measure your state of balance.
What's an HRV level?
So your heart rate level.
Okay, fine.
And so if it's elevated or if it's low, you know, you can control that through balanced breathing, and yeah, there's a lot of exercises built into it.
So what you're saying is that actually through, I'm going to pick on the one that you said first because you've given a lot of practical ways there. I think grounding's a very powerful thing anyway, but unfortunately in the UK there's very few summer's days where you're going to go out and step onto the grass
But
barefoot.
you'd be amazed just standing in the rain.
Really?
You'd be amazed, and what it can do for you. I know we have grey skies. I know it's miserable out there. But if you can go into your backyard and just stand in the rain and close your eyes and just pretend you're in a tropical forest and it's actually the monsoon. You know, I remember, dare I say, okay, we were in Mauritius 2 years ago and it was chucking it down with rain and everyone's running in. I ran out.
Into the storm.
I just ran out into the storm, put my head up and just let the water just let it engulf me. And yes, it was a bit warm. You know, it was. I was by the coast.
It wasn't 7 degrees.
It wasn't
or whatever
7 degrees
yeah.
outside. But I think that yeah. I mean, in those kind of in the UK, yeah, it's cold, it's freezing. You can ground yourself in other ways. Now, I think one of the biggest things that people have done during COVID is made great investment in houseplants. That is surrounding yourself with houseplants, the right type of houseplants that creates oxygen in your room. Just being there, just looking at, sitting amongst your houseplants can be very fulfilling. If you've got a pet in the house, that's a great de-stressor. Just playing with your dog. Those are the different ways in which you can actually create calm and create balance. Yeah. And they work. Or just for 5 minutes, just closing your eyes, meditating, putting some music on in the background, and just meditating, not thinking of anything.
I love that. There's definitely truth to all those things, including the pet at home, because my sister and my brother both have dogs. My sister's dog is in Australia. My brother's dog is here in northwest London. And it doesn't matter what's happening. That puppy is happy 24/7. And I guess it's a great reminder of coming back to that present moment. You realize that actually you can just be happy in that moment, and having a pet as a reminder makes that much easier as well, for sure. And I'm a big advocate of meditation and even journaling. And for me, journaling is the ability to reduce the amount of noise that's happening in your head, because I always think about, have you watched Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Okay. I always think about that bit where they like
the pensive.
Exactly.
Putting
the memories into the pensive, because if you're writing it down, it's no longer holding weight in your mind, which frees up space and energy for new things to come in.
Yeah.
Or just frees up space to allow you to de-stress.
It does.
But are you saying that because that's one of the first things you mentioned, is that allowing you to de-stress your nervous system according to what Neurofit is about?
It is one of the acts, one of the routines that you can build into your day that does. I know personally, if I've had a stressful night or I've had a late night, and I wake up in the morning, and typically you tend to be, oh God, I've got a headache, don't feel right. I've got into the habit of journaling every morning. I write a prayer down. I write my affirmations down and my gratitude statements down, and I can feel my physiology change as I'm writing. I do personally get into a little bit of a happy state.
Interesting.
I do feel it, and it's because I've built that habit over time. I've got into it where I know it. But yes, there are sort of distractions around me that get me out of it, and I do have to sometimes say, "Just give me 5 minutes. Just let me finish this." That's my meditation. I have a playlist that I play at the same time. I have some sort of Buddha meditation music going on in the background, and that gets me into my flow state. And then, but at the same time, I'm practicing my balanced breathing as well, because everything is aligned at that point.
Now, you're a dad.
Mm-hmm.
How important has it been for you to pass on these learnings to your son? And do you think it's as easily taken on board compared to someone like a mentee who'd hear you say the same thing and go, "Oh my God, that's genius"? Whereas I don't have kids, but I know if my parents told me similar things that my mentors would have told me, I'd be like, "You guys are crazy."
So I'll flip it around where my dad used to meditate.
Okay.
When he's 83, so he can't spend the time sitting on the floor and meditating anymore. And I remember when I started telling him that, I've started meditating in the morning, and he said to me, "So when I told you when you were young to meditate, you never did it. So someone else had to tell you to do it."
Is this like a universal parent-child situation?
It is a universal parent-child situation. And so it's interesting. So I've got 3 boys. They're young men now. And they all do their own thing in which they get into flow. So to me, it's the flow state. That's really important. They breathe. So my youngest loves to draw. He's artistic, and he loves to write. And when I see him writing, it's like, leave him alone. Won't disturb him, because I can see he's in his flow state. My middle son loves to create music. So when the music's on, the door's shut, he's in his flow state. And my eldest, he does read a lot. He does meditate. He does go to the gym. And so they're all doing it in their own way. I think everyone, whatever works for someone. Sometimes some people can meditate for an hour and that's it. Some people can go into the gym and that's their meditation. I think meditation is really about focus. Meditation is where your mind, body, and soul is in sync. And you can get that through walking. You can get that, you can get that through, just listening to a soundtrack, but losing yourself completely into that. It's whatever really works for you. For me, journaling though, for me, I think is, as you said, it's that ability to kind of, remove that thought from your mind and put it into that. I've always used the pensive analogy from Harry Potter.
So this is why we get along so well.
Yeah, it's just taking it out and put it in. And I think it's even if you don't have to buy a journal, you can just buy a notepad and a pen. It's as simple as that, and just start. Just don't overcomplicate it. I always say, don't overcomplicate journaling. Lose yourself into it, and you'll find that over time you'll build your own routine.
Do you think that there's a difference between writing it down physically on paper versus
100%.
making a note on your phone?
100%.
Why?
We're so indoctrinated by technology, right? And it may sound a bit, from someone that's been in tech and IT for 27 years and working with startups that are in tech and IT that don't use your phone, don't use an iPad. There's my old mentor and coach, the late and great Bob Proctor, used to say that, the art of writing down, actually that whole motion from here to your brain is one that you cannot get from typing on a PC or a phone. You got distractions coming in, and someone could walk through the door and you're still typing away. You're not focused. When you're reading it, what you're writing, you're creating that connection from here to the hand and back, and that's a flow state. That's energy and frequency and flow and motion. And I've tried both. I've tried even with a pen on an
Pen
iPad.
on a digital.
It
I was just
doesn't.
about to ask you.
It doesn't do it for me. It's that, as soon as that pen touches paper, that feeling, that little sound you get, it's just magical. I've got a crate in my loft, which has got all my old journals in there, and now I'd have to start another crate.
Great.
Yeah, yeah,
So I love what you said there, because I'm a big believer in writing it down physically, because and my philosophy behind this is, when you write something down physically on paper, that's an idea or a thought that you have in your head, that is actually the first step of creation.
yeah,
Because you've taken something that was intangible, a thought, you've written it down on paper, and now it physically exists in the real world. And if there was ever going to be a message to your subconscious mind that you wanted to create something, or you wanted to let go of something, that's the first step.
yeah. Yeah, it's that thought on paper, that is the pensive, right? What is the pensive? It's a collection of memories
Yep.
that you can go and revisit. Writing it down, that is your pensive, and 100%, I totally agree. It's down on paper. It's like it's written in stone now,
That's it.
right? It's there. You made it reality.
So I've done a bit of a deep dive into your social
Okay,
media.
this is worrying.
This is I found some very compromising pictures. I'm kidding. I've actually gone in, and I love your content. I love the quotes, and I love the way you deliver stuff as well. And I've picked 5 quotes that I've taken from videos and reels that you've been doing,
Okay.
which I'd love to get your deeper insight on.
Okay.
And you can give me like a couple of sentences for
Sure.
each one. Okay. So the first one: when we focus on being perfect, we don't leave room for growth or learning. Why?
There's an element of perfectionism that I feel personally that we start to tap into becoming more closed. We start to tap into becoming more like playing into our ego. And nothing's ever perfect, right? Nothing's ever perfect, in my view. And I think with that, that means that there's always an opportunity for learning and growth. And so if we can assume that nothing's ever perfect, I'm not perfect, the work I'm doing is not perfect, it's great, it's amazing, but it's not perfect, then you're always going to give opportunity to learn and grow. I mean, if Mercedes were happy with the original design of the C-Class, why would they consistently change it? If it was perfect, why would they go on and change it? Why would we get to a stage where we now got the EQC and what have you? There is always an opportunity for more. Even the most perfect rose is never perfect.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I love that. There's always another level.
There's always another level.
Our words have a profound impact on our self-worth, which can create an identity of suffering. What does that mean?
We're great at, our best critic is ourselves, right? I do an exercise with people like, write down as many things that you can that negative statements about yourself. And on the other side of the page, write down as many positive things about yourself. And I guarantee every time I do this, people will have 3, if not 4 times more negative thoughts about themselves than they will have positive thoughts about themselves. If I ask someone to write down, tell me 50 reasons why you're amazing, they'll get to 10 and they'll stop. They'll get to 20 maybe and they'll stop. They'll get over that, they'll start repeating it. We're great at kind of saying that I'm rubbish, I'm no good, I'm silly. And a lot of it sometimes is programmed into us from childhood. Your teachers told you you're no good at that. Your parents said you're no good at that. Your coach, or your sports coach told you you're no good at that. If we continuously then embody those thoughts in ourselves, that's impacting our worth and our image of ourselves. And as a result, we were the first ones to say, I'm no good at that.
I'm trying to think of more than 5 things that I like about myself or I'm good at. And even then I'm like, okay, This is going to take some work. That's interesting.
Yeah.
We've perfected the art of self-abuse. Can you go deeper into that?
Yeah, that's the one thing we have perfected. Yeah, and it links quite well to the previous comment. Is we're great at criticizing ourselves, and we'll come up with the most colorful statements, but we will never perfect the art of self appreciation. And it's something that I try and help as many people as I can on that.
I love the way you describe that, because I've never personally ever made the connection that talking negatively about myself is a form of self-abuse.
Yeah, it is. And I used to do it a lot. I was a master at it. And when I found the right coach, the right mentor, completely changed my perspective. I realized what I'm doing to myself. Like, why am I doing you? When you do it to yourself, you give room to others to do it to you. You're giving them permission to say, yeah, come on. Yeah, throw me a punch. Don't worry. Do as many as you want. Criticize me even more.
That's probably one of the first things we master, just because of conditioning.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. One of the best qualities you have is the ability to forgive others.
Yeah.
Why?
I've learned in life that forgiveness is something that creates great positive energy within you when you forgive. It actually does release a lot. If you ever if you get a chance to speak to Sonia probably about me, she'll tell you I used to be a very angry person, and I was having a conversation with my son just yesterday where he just said, Dad, you've mellowed so much in the last 10, 15 years. And a lot of that is down to the fact that I've just forgive. And after it's just letting go. Someone cuts you up. Right, we're great at like raising our fist and, going into the profanity dictionary and saying as many words as we can. Just let them go. We don't know. I mean, sometimes, you do fall foul of saying something, but you're saying it to yourself. That person's carrying on. They're probably listening to their music. They're probably, getting late for a date, or their wife may be in labor, or there's a parent that needs their help, and that's why they're racing down the road and they cut you up. We don't know what situation they're in, and yet what we're doing there in that. But if you forgive, and just carry on, it's fine, it's cool.
It's almost permission to relieve yourself of any anger that might be building up.
Totally. And I actually do write every day that one of my affirmations that I write every day is, I am at peace. I am loving and forgiving to myself and others.
I am at peace. I'm loving and
forgiving to myself and others.
That's powerful. Okay, last quote. Personal growth is not a one-time thing. It's an investment you make in yourself every day. How? You
listen to a podcast. Listening to Dipesh's podcast is part of personal growth.
I love the plug. Thank you so much.
No, 100%. It's part of personal growth. Reading the book, reading an article in a magazine that is around mindset transformation, whatever it may be. Watching The Secret, or watching a documentary on mindset, whatever it may be. I say to so many people that, learning doesn't stop when you've got your degree or your PhD. There's life in itself is learning, and you grow from that. Personal growth for me has been a phenomenal journey. I never used to read books. I used to read sort of Frank Herbert. I used to read, sort of mystery novels, and I was given a book once, and that changed my life. And since then, all I've bought is personal growth books. All I've read is, self-help books or spiritual books. My dad used to hand me the Bhagavad Gita so many years ago in English and said, read it. And I said, no, I never did. I've still got that book, and now I've started reading it. So, after 30 years, 40 years now,
it's just another thing. in that parent-child
It's that, again, that dynamic. Yeah.
So that's a perfect transition to my final two conversations, because this has been two questions, because this has been an amazing conversation. So the first one, and you've just said actually that there was one book that changed your life. So my first one is, what book or movie, or maybe both, you might have one of each, has had such a profound impact on your life that it's made you more of who you are today, that sits in front of me?
So there is actually two things. There is a book and a movie.
Excellent.
So the book that kind of started my journey was The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy.
That is a brilliant book.
And I just fell in love with every word, the way it was written, the way he wrote it. And that was my first book. It was given to me by my old boss when I was at Microsoft. And it changed my life. Definitely changed my life. My wife's read it. My kids have read it. I still read it now and then. And I mean, the three books I read over and over again are The Power of the Subconscious Mind, Think and Grow Rich, and The Untethered Soul.
Oh, I love The Untethered Soul. By Michael Singer.
Yeah. Phenomenal book. Phenomenal life book, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie that changed my life, funny, was The Secret.
Okay.
And my wife made... So we're a family of four men in the house, and she made us watch The Secret. And I was supposed to go to the pub with my mates, and she was like, "No, we're watching The Secret. You have to watch it. I've watched it. You have to watch it. You promised me." So we're all sitting there. It's summer's day. Boys want to go out and play football, and I'm sitting there. God, I've got to watch this bloody movie. And through the movie, I was gone from this to kind of like on my knees, like with my hand in my like this,
Really?
like completely bought into it. And I remember saying to my wife that I'm going to meet that dude one day, and it was Bob Proctor, you know, in the white suit, you know. And I said, I'm going to meet him one day. And you know, talk about be careful what you say to the universe. And that was 2011.
Okay.
2017, I'm on stage with him.
Wow.
And that to me was a rubber stamp on what you say to the universe happens. And I forgot about it. I forgot I ever mentioned it until that day when I was on stage with him.
That's a hell of a manifestation.
Yeah.
And by the way, that little bit that you just shared there, that you forgot about it, I think that's the trick and key.
That's the trick.
To manifestation.
That's the trick. So Michael Beckwith, Michael, he actually says, you know, your wish to the universe should be like your coin thrown into a wishing well. You don't go back to the wishing well to see if the coin's still there.
Yeah.
You leave it and you go and you forget it.
And care about your daily life and allow the synchronicities and everything to formulate it all for you.
Yeah.
Amazing. Final question for you. If you could go back in time to your younger self and give your younger self only one piece of advice, what age would you go back to, and what would you say?
Ooh, what age would I go back to? I'll probably go back to my mid-30s.
This is very relevant because that's exactly where I am right now. So lay it on me. Go on.
So that would be going back, almost 20 years. And I literally say to myself, like, you've got this. Everything's going to be okay. Just carry on being you. And everything's going to pan out. And yes, there'll be tough times. Yes, they're going to be bad times. But just carry on. Just persevering. The funny thing is I've done a meditation on this, timeline meditation, where I go forward 5 years and I meet myself 5 years ahead and tell myself exactly the same thing. So it's kind of what I would say to myself if I had to go back in time and meet myself would be, dude, you got this. There's so many more things you're going to do. There's so much you're going to see. There's so much life experience ahead of you. This is nothing.
I'm literally taking that as a message to myself because it's resonating on a whole new level. And I'm like, wow, that's exactly what I needed to hear today. So hopefully someone else needs to hear the exact same thing. Vikas, amazing conversation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been a real experience and a real pleasure.